Episode 112, Selling My Dream. This is the Ericast for the week of May 31, 2009.
From Ericast.com.
Ericast.com.
Welcome to the Ericast.
Well, thanks as always for listening to the Ericast. I'm your host, Eric Larson. I say that every week, every episode, whatever, and it seems like it's getting old or stale, but it's heartfelt. It really is. I'm glad you're watching or listening. Remember on YouTube, the Dweeb Thoughts podcast, so you can go to Ericast.com and find that. The other thing is we're still looking for comments, 206-339-3742, or you can just email me, Eric, at Ericast.com. I'll mention that again at the end of the show. And they're coming. We do actually have a couple comments this week that I'm going to ignore until next week. Sorry, guys. Greetings to Matt Beckwith. Greetings to Joneser. I was speaking with Dan Hook from the Hook Show, and Dan's going to be sending us some video because we're a little bit sparse on video in general as a video podcast. That's okay though. A whole lot more work to do video, which is sort of what this show is related to. And we have one topic, so I'm not going to talk about the stone wall that Ruth and I built next to the house kind of prior to Memorial Day weekend. Not going to mention that. Not going to talk about visiting a cemetery for Memorial Day and finding some of my, I was going to say old relatives, but I think the implication would be if they're in the cemetery, they probably are old. The whole genealogy thing, that's kind of an interesting topic. I might pick it up as an actual Ericast show at some point. But I'm also not going to mention the HP PhotoSmart printer scanner that I got off of Craigslist. Quite a deal. I'm very, very happy because it was free. And then I put a continuous ink supply system in there, a CISS, so I can print as much as I want because the ink comes in these big tanks. I was describing them today. They almost look like a stack of, my only two examples were like whiskey flasks or maybe big cigarette packs. And when your only examples are whiskey packs and whiskey flasks and stuff, I have sympathy for Conan and Leno and folks because it's hard to tell a joke when you can't get the words right. If your only examples are whiskey flasks and cigarette packs, that probably tells you something bad. But anyway, time's slipping by in the show, and here's the major topic of the day. All right, back in the day, eons ago actually, I bought a domain named Seeker TV, the Seeker.tv domain. Why did I buy the Seeker TV domain? Well, because starting in the mid to late 90s, I had a dream. Had a dream with some friends, actually. And I'm going to read you what was sitting at the Seeker.tv site. What is it that we want to do? Our dream is to develop a regular television show combining interviews, feature stories, and man-on-the-street interviews on the topic of religion and spirituality. We believe that of the broadcast media that exists today, only television has the power to draw viewers into an investigation of religion and spirituality. To discover a website, you have to know what you're looking for, and the seekers we're trying to reach don't necessarily know what they're seeking. So what's our agenda? Well, we think the topic's interesting and incredibly important, perhaps to the disappointment of some and to the relief of others. This isn't an evangelical podcast. Oh, there's a Freudian slip, because it wasn't an evangelical project, but you're getting to the whole point, the theme of where this is going. But what I had written at the time was this isn't an evangelical project. Our episodes won't conclude that everything Christian is good and everything else is wrong. On the other hand, we won't approach religion and spirituality with the dismissive agnostic skepticism that some mainstream media does. We'll balance our stories as best we can and let our subjects speak for themselves. So what's the next step? We hope to shoot some pilot segments and make them available on the web. Easier said than done, but if a picture's worth 1,000 words, giving an example of what we're talking about should make it a lot clearer. So that was the original concept. The notion was we'd do this television show where in the 80s it was politics, and you had the McLaughlin group and that kind of thing, and then in the 90s it was all about sex. The Real World and the reality TV stuff, that kind of thing, that was sort of the undercurrent. And so the notion was, well, as we enter the new millennium, a television show about religion and spirituality would be kind of neat. We even, do I have it in here? We even have the little logo, kind of a little television with a question mark, because people were seeking. It was an animated GIF, which was a hip technology at the time. I jest a little bit, but not quite. Where it had various religious symbols and stuff. Okay, so here's this idea. And in fact, I might even dig this up for the Ericast. I ran out and did an interview with Fred Phelps. That name might ring a vague bell. Fred Phelps was with the Westboro, Topeka, Kansas Baptist Church. Westboro Baptist Church in Topeka, Kansas, someplace. You can probably find him on YouTube, though it's a little bit hard, because he's the one that would picket churches and funerals and things, waving up the sign, saying that God hates people of a certain orientation, though that's not the terminology he'd use. So it's kind of hard to find the uncensored video because it's really very offensive. But what my question was, why? Because he's coming from a Christian perspective, this is not very effective. Why is he doing this? And I had a very interesting interview with him, and asking some of the questions that you just wouldn't typically get on the nightly news. Okay, well, flash forward 8 years or so. I have a wife, I have kids, all the friends I was going to do this with, wives, kids. We never did anything with this. And the Secret TV domain originally, this was, I snapped it up right when .tv domains became available, and they were $100 a year. So that's some money. I also had secrettv.com, secrettv.org, secrettv.net, secret-tv.com, secret-tv.org, secret-tv.net, because who knew whether the .tv domain would become a big thing, and if the show became a big thing, I'd want to make sure the domain was protected. So long story short, as I'm glancing down at the clock down here for myself, I get an email from a guy in Germany, a lawyer, who says, oh, looks like you're not using the domain. Would you be interested in selling it? And I thought, if the price was right, I'd sell the domain. And the price was right. So I sold the domain. So I no longer have Secret TV. But here's what's interesting. In the meantime, and think about this, in the past 8 or 9 years, I mean, go back 6, 7, 8 years, there was no such thing as a podcast. There was no YouTube. There was one thing called single reel, SINGLEREEL, like a movie reel sort of thing. They were around. You could put QuickTime clips on that. There really, broadband, it wasn't really that common. So the notion of do a podcast or throw some clips on YouTube and just be kind of out there didn't really exist. Now it does, which makes the whole Secret TV concept very different, because you could just assemble a bunch of pre-existing clips and say, here you go. And do people really watch television anymore? I mean, to the point where you'd want to... We were planning on like cable access, and there were like networks of cable stations and things. Does that really work? I don't know. But it doesn't matter anymore, because the domain's gone. So I thought I'd share that. I don't exactly know. I'm going to say I don't know how I feel, but I don't know. It's not really bittersweet. I'm still kind of processing it. It's sort of interesting. But I don't know what's next. Whatever it is, it's not going to be with that domain. And maybe it will be through the Ericast. You can help decide that. So I want you to get in touch with us. Give us a call, 206-339-3742. Leave a message or whatever. That does work. People are doing it. Email. No one emails. Eric@ericast.com. ERIC@ericast.com. Send us an email. And until next time, take care.
Thanks for listening to the Ericast from Ericast.com.
Visit us at www.ericast.com.